Welcome to the Under Contract podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Under Contract podcast. I am joined here by a new acquaintance that I have met via Instagram, Aislinn, aka Sold by Ace on Instagram. Is that right?
That's right.
So tell the people who you are, what you do, your background, and how we kind of got here today.
So I have been in real estate since 0809, whenever it was really fun to get into real estate.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Wow.
It was fun. It was whenever the market was very distressed market. And we're starting to see that today, and that is what it is. And so, yeah, since 2011, I've been a licensed broker, and so over 17 years in the business, and I love what I do, and I love how it shifts and changes.
Yeah, so I started in 2017, and the conception I always got of 0809 was like, no deals were happening. It was like bad, but like we were talking about Ricky before the podcast, he was like talking about like, okay, what if homes were half off today? It would be like, you'd be selling so many properties, it wouldn't even be funny. So that was more the reality. Is that it was just a different style of sale. It was foreclosures and short sales.
So whenever I got in, I was actually like unpacking my box to like decorate my office as agents were actually packing up to leave.
Oh man.
And they were also having to sell their cars and to downsize, or everyone was downsizing. It was basically you were having, it wasn't this lavish, like it wasn't posted on Facebook and then it'd be gone in 5 seconds. It was you actually had to work. And so whenever I got into it, I was like, how can I grow in this? Agents weren't taking floor time or call time or phone time as it was. I was like, I'll sit there and take it. I'm 20 years old. I was like, I'm going to do this. And so I also went into the office and I learned as much as I could from the ladies that were in there every single day working. And they were working short sales, foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, and doing REOs, BPOs, all of it.
Mm-hmm. So situational awareness, right? Like that's a kind of a distinguishing part of people who are successful. Like, yeah, COVID 2019, even when I started, it was pretty easy. I came in and did 14 transactions year one with zero structure. Like I was like, oh, I love this. Like this is, I couldn't believe it.
So I had started a team in 2014, and like 2017 is whenever I had started a construction company because we had Harvey and Imelda, and that was in 19. And so around that, it was easy. Like it was easy to sell a house. Like that was like a side thing. It was just like kind of like forget about it. Like I had people handling it and everything for the real estate industry all the way up until about 21, 22. We started feeling it again. And so many agents got into the business during that time frame, especially COVID. It was like, oh, this looks easy, or I don't want to do what I'm doing now. Let me get into real estate. And you just snapped a picture, posted on Facebook, socials, and it was gone. Multiple offers, over asking price. You actually have to work now. And whenever I got in 08, 09, like you had to work. It was a buyer's market. It was half off prices. It was blue tarp investor specials and all that.
But no one was getting approved for loans too.
So it was tougher to get loans, but that's also where like good partnerships with lenders and banks is great and they can be creative with their buyers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely seeing one thing we talk about in the coaching program is like in this today, you have to have twice the amount of like incoming prospects, you would call them, or leads, or people you have to talk to 2x the amount of people.
Absolutely.
To do the same amount of business you were doing a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
And, 2020, I doubled my business from 19 to 20. But I was still kind of like, that was only my 4th year in the business. And I really didn't have that perspective yet, right? Like interest rates were always just like 4.5%, 5%. Like I just thought that's what they always were. I didn't realize that they could just go to 7 one day. And I didn't even, if you would have told me like, hey man, next year interest rates are going to go to 7, I wouldn't have even known what to care about that. And it was like, COVID happened, rates went, it was like free money. I bought during that time. I have a 3% rate on my home. And then I really noticed at the end of 2023, it was like October-ish. That's when rates kind of like popped into like 7s, and it was like, and 24 was like the roughest year for a couple different reasons. But as far as my business, I could not get anything going or to stay together, or it was just like a delay reaction on, like, when the rates popped up. It was like a 3-month little like window there where it was just like crickets, and it was like scary. I was like, I've never had my business just stop like this. And I said, I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure that doesn't happen again. And that's what I've been doing. And this last, with Iran stuff going on, it's kind of thrown a monkey wrench in things where I'm just seeing people act crazy. Like, there's a listing in my neighborhood where they were listed at 465. They started it at like 510, and they dropped it. It was at 465. It never sold. They pulled it off the market and put it back up at 545. So I think the seller's mentality was like, well, if it ain't going to show, I'm just going to put my price on it and hope it sells. So like, you're seeing people do, like, when the market gets kind of in turmoil like it is right now, you see people act more off of fear. Mm-hmm. And I've definitely found that keeping deals together this year is harder. It
really is. I mean, it's funny you say, like, whenever rates went from like the 4s to the 7s, whenever I got in it, I mean, it was 7 to 9 for interest rates. So whenever I saw it going below 6 and 5, I was like, this is great. And then whenever I saw it go in the 2s and 3s, I was like, this is unheard of. Like,
I don't think that should have happened.
It artificially inflated our market.
Looking back, it shouldn't have happened. I say we're in the hangover of that right now.
We are. Absolutely.
We're just laying in bed, miserable, hungover.
We are. And it artificially inflated the market because everyone flooded to go and purchase. And then people were overpaying for properties whenever they shouldn't have. I also call it, I mean, as what we're seeing now, and even in the past couple of years, I'd say from 22 to now, is what I call the new age adjustable rate mortgage, where we've seen where builders are in buy downs and all of that. Oh, for a year, you can be at 4, and then next year it'll be 5. And oh, guess what? We should go back down by then, so it won't be 6 or 7, but yet we're still sitting in those 6s. And so people are feeling that. Taxes, insurance, people can't afford what they're in.
It would be one thing if it was 6 or 7 or 8% and homes were 150,000.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But they're 400,000. A starter home now is
400.
Yeah. Like
350, 400.
And I had some friends, they went and looked at some new construction, and the salesperson was like, hey, like, if you don't use a realtor, we'll buy you out of your apartment lease, and we can get you like 3.99% interest for year 1 through whatever. And then they sent me all this stuff that the salesperson had like emailed them. It was just an adjustable rate.
It is.
And like, you read the fine print and it's like, hey, at the end of year, it was either 3 or 5, I can't remember, but your rate can go as high as 8.5. Mm-hmm.
I've seen that.
Like, at least there was a cap on it, I guess. But it was like, they didn't even, I was like, did they explain this part of it? They were like, no.
Well, it's pretty much what happened also, like you're talking about the free money during COVID and all that, and after COVID, I mean, the forbearance situation where people took forbearances and the banks were like, hey, you can put a pause on your monthly payments. And now no one read the fine print whenever they signed all those documents electronically. And now they have 2nd and 3rd and 4th liens that are with HUD that aren't visually on your payoff statement too.
So, crazy story. I had a closing, what is it, July now? I can't even remember. It was like, I guess it was earlier this year or late last year. Earlier this year. We kind of rushed it, like getting to closing was kind of just like a very bang, bang, bang thing. And he didn't get his statement before closing. So she got the statement out, shoved it in front of me, shoved it in front of him. And I always like my clients to see the statement before we even go to the title company, because a surprise is the last thing you want. So he had taken, this was a rental that he owned, and he had taken out a loan. It was something like that, like a forbearance thing, or like a loan,
loan modification,
something like that, where it was like free money. Well, he was expecting to net take some money and then roll it into, he was buying a house for himself. And he ended up, because of that forbearance thing, owing $8,000 at closing. He was shocked. The closer was shocked. She was like, do you not remember? He was like, man, I was young. Like, I just signed it, did it. And I thought it was free. Like, I didn't even think about it. Didn't even remember that he had it until we went to sign at closing. And I didn't know what to say. I was like, I'm so sorry, man. Like, it is what it is. I wish there was something I could do, but there's nothing we can do. And the closer felt the same way. She was like, oh, I'd never seen something like that.
So I call it like seller amnesia, or homeowner amnesia. Basically, whenever they're looking at their statement, their mortgage statement, they're seeing what that payoff is. Mm-hmm. If they did any sort of down payment assistance or got any sort of grants, a lot of that, if you didn't read the fine print, they are due. If you ever miss a payment or took a forbearance or did any sort of loan modification or are selling before the time frame that they had in their small fine print. And so that is something where it's like, there's all these fantastic programs that are out there, but reading the fine print is huge. And then also, again, you're logging into your mortgage portal, you're seeing what your balance is. That's not including any of those forbearances that they took and put on the back end of the mortgage.
Because that's a question realtors get all the time, is like, hey, do y'all have any first-time homebuyer programs? The word program, let's just put that out there. Yep. That's a loaded term. There's no, like, you think they're just going to give you free money out of the goodness of their heart. They're not. There's no such thing as free lunch. Somebody's paying for that, and it's you. Yeah. I mean, all it is like a down payment assistance. You're taking out a loan for your down payment.
That's it. So, I mean, it's really to where, I mean, I've seen it recently on a lot of payoffs and situations, and especially working with like pre-short sale or short sale situations. Basically, they're like, yeah, this is what I owed. I did a loan modification, and now it's uncomfortable with what my monthly payment is. And I'm like, okay, let's really look through what all you signed and agreed to with the bank. Let's get on the phone with the bank. Let's discuss all of that. We start to, and then we're realizing how much actually is on top of what they owe. And then that's putting them in an over-leveraged position. Also, I mean, we just talked about it. People overpaid a couple years ago, especially new construction.
Dude, it's okay. So another little story. Have some people right now. We're actually, after this podcast, I'm about to send out a contract to them to sign for their home is selling. But they were looking in Mont Bellevue. That's where they want to end up. And so they send me this house, and it's listed at $449. And I look on the archives, and it's like the people selling it paid $467 for it in 2023. It's sitting there at $449, 139 days on market. The seller is paying 3 mortgages right now because she's paying that one, the new home they live in, and then another like vacation home or something. So she's like super motivated. And my people, rightly so, are like, hey, with the market the way it is, we can't overpay. And I told them the same thing. I was like, now is not the time to overpay.
It is not.
So they offered $420, and the seller came back at, so funny. They came back, they're listed at $449.9. They came back at $449 flat. So $900 off. They cut my commission in half. And then it was like some other stuff. And my people were like, no, we have options.
Yeah.
So, but that was a real eye opener where it was like, wow, like there's neighborhoods around here. Like, are you from this side of town?
I'm from Beaumont originally, but I live over here now.
Okay. So like Lago Mar is one where people are having a hard time getting out of there.
Yes. Yes. And that's then you're dealing with the situation where you have a home that you purchased and was built brand new, 21, 22, 23, 24. You're wanting to get out of it. You're now competing with brand new construction, and those builders have come down to what is now market value, plus offering incentives and all of that. Warranties.
So it's like you go to sell your house and the buyers are like, hey, like, we'll just go get something brand new.
I'll just go buy something down the street that's brand new. They're literally going past the model homes to go look at yours and then going back to the model home.
Yeah. I've had several people. I have some friends in Katy that they did this. They bought a couple years ago, and you run the comps and it's like, this isn't what you're going to want to hear.
Yeah. Well, and if they did any sort of, if the homeowner did any sort of loan modification, again, from 21 to 24, and did any sort of readjustment, whatever their rate was then, sometimes the bank will then readjust it to what the market is now. And again, with taxes and insurance, it's now not affordable. And so they're like, I need to sell, but I have to get this in order to pay everything off. And it's not, the math's not mathin'.
The general vibe I get of the market is like we rode the roller coaster up, and then now we were on the downslope. Now I feel like we're coming down. Like
we are.
I made a video the other day. I think around here, when it's all said and done, prices are going to be down 10%.
Oh, yeah.
I truly think that. Now, but then you'll read the headlines. It's like housing prices hit all-time high. And that's a nationwide thing. And dude, it's crazy though. Like in my coaching program, we have agents all over the country, Georgia, Florida, like New York, Twin Cities, Minnesota, like up there. It's like crazy bidding wars still.
Really?
Yeah. So like, but around here, like I'm out here, like I see, I see it, and you do too, I'm sure. But I think we're down 10% after everything's said and done.
Well, and then also there are the studies that are going on where the Houston market area in Texas is leading in foreclosures.
Really? Tell me about that.
So, I mean, okay, it kind of goes back to just the loan modifications, people not being able to afford it. They did the forbearances, and or they're still having a hardship or something like that. That's what's going on. And now they're getting denied for any sort of loan modification. They're not able to keep up their mortgage. They're not able to sell the house or anything like that. They're going into foreclosure. And also the moratoriums and all of that was lifted earlier this year. And so all you have to be is 3 months behind, and then you're getting notices and everything. And I mean, back in January, because I go to the auctions every month, the different county auctions. And so in January, it was like 200 and something for Harris County. Now it's like almost 1,000.
Wow.
And now all of them aren't getting foreclosed. A lot of people may work it out. A lot of people may decide to work something out with the bank, or actually do get it sold, and it does get pulled from the auction block. But there are still a lot that are getting foreclosed on. And this is what I'm explaining to agents too, in an education standpoint, is like, if you don't try to help your seller to prevent going to foreclosure, we are then going to have more of a flood of foreclosures that are going to be coming in the future. That's going to affect our market. That's going to affect the values. Because if you're in the neighborhood and you're going down the street and it's like foreclosure, foreclosure, foreclosure.
My brother and his partner have bought 3 or 4 of them in the last couple months.
Yes.
And they're like one's in Westland Ranch. I was looking at a couple. There was one in Tuscan Lakes. There was one in the section over from me. And there's one in the section over from me. And I thought, this guy's been there for a long time. And I just thought, let me just call him and just like try to talk to him and just see like, hey man, like you have a lot of equity. Like, but I called him. You mother bleep, 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 bleep. You're trying to take advantage of me. Yeah. Bleep, bleep, bleep. And I was like, I said, dude, I'm trying to help you. No, you're not. You're trying to take advantage of me. And I was just like, okay, there's no talking to that guy.
There's a lot of denial and ego, I would say. And I think it kind of goes back to the free money thing. People are thinking that there's going to now be some other life-saving device or
to get them out of it,
to get them out again. The government's not playing now. The mortgage companies and the government and all, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they want their money back.
Yeah.
They do.
And yeah, and I was just thinking like, dude, like I say, he's been there for almost 20 years. He could just sell.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, he does not want. And I'm like, that's sad, because like he could go put a couple $100,000 in his pocket, go get an apartment, get back on his feet, have some money to get his life back going. I don't know what his situation was, but It was just like sad to hear him just in such a broken state when I literally was just like, hey, let me just try to help you through this. No. He didn't want to hear it.
So I work with a lot of homeowners that are in these situations, and it's about understanding kind of like what they're going through and just being able to give them options other than like, I want to buy your house. And that's what I tell like investors and wholesalers and all that kind of stuff. Like, cause there's a lot of people that are working these pre-foreclosure lists and everything that are going on, and the notice of default lists. And I mean, it's all public record. You can pull it in the county records and all that for who is getting those notices and everything. And we're seeing to where people, they're scared, they're embarrassed, they're thinking that, okay, how am I going to get out of this? And they think their only option is to sell whenever there are other options for them. So that's what I do to help, is try to explain those options and not. And what I tell agents and investors and wholesalers, if you're going after these properties, do not have commission breath. Do not just say, look, I'm here to help and give you options. Like, if you want to keep the house, let's look at what that looks like, kind of thing. And sometimes then it's a walk with them for self-discovery of, I think I'm going to have to sell.
Mm-hmm. So you specifically sell these types of properties?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about specifically only selling those?
What, like for short sales and all that kind of stuff?
Built relationship with banks?
Yeah, I mean, back in 0809, I mean, I was doing BPOs, which is broker price opinions. I was doing those for the banks, and I was assisting agents in the office I was in. And I learned the process very early on. And I know how to like basically appraise the property like the bank wants and how they visualize it. So whenever I'm pulling comps and all that kind of stuff, it's just like, it's a whole different mindset. As well as I still do BPOs for the banks. I do PCRs, which is property condition reports. And so I'm on their vendor list. And the amount of orders that I've been getting within the past couple of years, I mean, it's just.
The appraisal thing is a funny one right now, because the house that I was telling you about where my people offered $420, the agent goes, he was like, yeah, we have an appraisal for $450 something, $460. I forgot what it was. It was like substantially more than what they were asking, like 20 grand more or something. And he's like, if your clients buy our price, then they'll have instant equity. And I was like, dude, that is such a loaded, that's a load of crap. Like, if there's instant equity, and I made a video on this, so if you've seen the video, forgive me. I'm just, for the people that haven't, I made a video saying like, buddy, if there was so much instant equity in this house, investors would literally buy the house at that price, put it back up for sale, and to take the equity out. So like, that's just not true.
Well, and that's where, with even foreclosures, REOs, which is real estate owned, the bank owns it, and short sales, the banks are getting their own appraisals. Like, they're getting the BPOs. They're seeing what is the as-is market value. That's what they're looking at. It's not the ARV, which is the after repair value or anything like that. They know, like, hey, this is what, like, the market is saying. Also, as we're all taught, I mean, that's 6 months of old data. Mm-hmm. Like, we're looking in today's data. So whenever I'm pulling comparables, I'm pulling actives, I'm pulling pendings, I'm pulling solds, I'm pulling expireds and terminated. Because those expired and terminated, they tell a story too. And that's what I'm presenting to sellers whenever I'm going to on a listing appointment is, look, yes, they may have had their house listed at X, but it didn't sell.
Yeah.
And let's look at the days on market, because that's another thing, is the continually growing days on market. But I mean, with these properties, there is the potential of equity. But I mean, there's the potential of equity with any property. But I mean, as far as like the instant equity guarantee, I mean, you have to get it at a severe discount.
Equity comes with time.
That's it.
People don't want to wait.
Yes.
In the stock market, in the housing market, in any venture where they want to get rich, no one wants to get rich slow.
No. They want it now.
Yeah.
We're in the today, what was it? The Amazon today's world, where instant
dopamine.
everything.
I was looking at a post this morning. My buddy Lucas posted, and it was like traditional versus like fast-paced society versus the dopamine culture we're now in.
Yes.
And it was like photo albums went to digital cameras, went to Instagram stories. Library went from the library to Google to ChatGPT.
Yep.
So it's like everything is just at our fingertips now.
Well, and that's where even like short sales are not a short process
Heck
at
no.
all. It's a long sale. The only thing that is short about it is you're shorting the mortgage.
About 60 days, right? Like, I mean, that's what
90 plus.
I did one that was actually like, I think it was like a little over 60 days last year.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, the bank is like, we need this price. We don't care about you. We don't care about you. Whatever we got to do to make this number happen is what it's going to be.
So you can submit what's called a reconsideration of valuation, just like you would with an appraisal with an appraiser that you may need to appeal anything. And so you can submit all the supporting documentation as far as like why this is where we really need to be. But yes, they have a net number that they are required to meet, and that's based on their investors and Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's, things are getting shaken up right now. Another appraisal situation I had was I found an off-market deal where the guy had just bought it in November. He paid $925 for it. And then my people wanted the house, but he was like, oh, I want $985. And we're like, bro, you just bought this in November for, you know.
People can see that too online.
But yeah, for sure. But he was like, I have an appraisal for $985. But it was that same deal where it's like, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
But that doesn't hold a lot of water here.
It doesn't.
And he did end up selling it for more than my people were willing to offer. And good for him. I don't know what it ended up selling for. But it was just the kind of thing where, yeah, my people wanted the house, but my client is a financial advisor. So he's very literate that way. And it just wasn't, he was like, I want it, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And that's where, if you really don't have to sell in today's market, it may not be the best time for you to actually sell. If you're not getting what you really want. And those are the honest conversations I'm having with sellers.
Yep.
I'm not saying you missed the boat, but you probably missed the boat.
Yeah. I mean, it's either, you can either have your price or sell the house. Like it's not going to be both.
Yes.
And there's exceptions to every rule. Like I'm seeing like in Friendswood, if you're on a little bit of land and it's like a really nice house, those are still going for crazy prices, cash.
In those little micro markets, like the little mini micro markets, yes. I mean, it may be like boom, boom, boom. But I mean, if you're newer construction, needing to sell for whatever reason, within the past couple of years you purchased, and you are still competing against newer construction or brand new construction.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So I have a take on this, but I want your take. What are the positives about the current situation?
The positives are we're in a stable market. So if you actually go into like Matrix on our MLS and go into Realist and look at like what the temperature is, and I'm always looking at those numbers and everything, it actually shows us right in the middle between buyers and sellers. And so many people are like, we're in a buyer's market. It's switching to a buyer's market. And I'm like, no, we're not. We're not there yet. We're not. And so it's a very stable, healthy market where, because we were in that crazy artificially inflated era, I feel as though this is going to kind of like get us a little bit back to normal on like, it's not going to immediately sell. It's not going to go for over asking. It may not be in a bidding war.
When you tell a seller like, hey, average days on market right now is 45 days. And I think it's actually more now. It's like 60 now.
Yeah.
But they're just like,
what? I needed this gone next week.
Yeah.
Well, then we should have thought about this a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that even the typical summer frenzy has been different. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious as to how the market is going to transition in the fall, winter. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And you've been in it coming up on 20 years. I'm 10 years in. So I feel like my gut instinct on stuff is pretty well developed. And sometimes you'll have these conversations. I had one a couple years ago where a guy, he told me his price and I already had like a price in my head. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And we had a long time on the market, a deal that was pretty tough to get closed. And it was one of those where by the end of it, I was just like, I don't even that wasn't even worth it. It was a very, very tough for a multitude of reasons. And like, he was just super proud of his property, and he was from the very beginning, and it was nice. But just like this, as far as like, the buyers were very, you never know what the phone would ring, and you never knew what it was going to be.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So it was like a long, stressful deal. And it kind of was a lesson for me in that, like, if somebody wants like a crazy, like if they want to overprice it exponentially, like way out of like on Mars, sometimes it's best to just say, hey, I'm not the agent for you.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Especially like in the market, right, what it is right now. And I'm very honest. Like, I would much rather them decide to not sell at this point than regret selling in the future. Because putting a house on the market to sell is painful anyway. You're having to make sure it looks great at all times. You're having strangers go through your house. They're nitpicking it.
If you have kids,
pets,
people with kids and little kids and pets, it's tough.
A work schedule that isn't the most convenient to make sure everything's perfect and everything like that. And so, I mean, just having those I call them tough conversations in the beginning. Also, just setting the expectations and educating the client prior of, look, this is what it's looking like. Are you good with this? And then also the sales to list price ratio is like 95% now. And so on average, so I'm explaining that to them. We may list at this, but you're not getting that.
A lot of them get married to that list price.
They do. And I'm not helping with closing cost assistance. Well, buyers are asking for that now because we're at the interest rates we're at. They're needing help.
So-and-so's, we know this is something that we need to do, but the buyer can just take care of that when they buy it.
We are past the point of kind of that the buyer will take care of it as is portion. Really, you need to be in tip-top shape and take care of those little minor things that you may walk past every single day and be like, I'll one day take care of it. No, take care of it before you go on the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's that's I do residential and commercial, and sometimes the emotions of residential, it can be taxing with certain people.
So that's actually probably also why I like working in the short sale pre-foreclosure REO realm, is because it does kind of have that corporate kind of aspect, because you are dealing with the bank.
Yeah.
Yet the emotions are extremely high on the seller side of things because of what they're going through. But yet it's like I'm kind of like a therapist, and then trying to help them navigate through this.
And I'm a very like black and white numbers person. I don't get overly emotional about, and it's also part of the deal that I do 3, 4, 5 of these a month. And it's just second nature to me, where you get a repair request. It's like, okay, let's look at what's reasonable. Let's like take care of some stuff that's not going to kill us. That's reasonable to get the deal done. Do you want to get the deal done or not?
Yeah.
But like, I've had people like, they get a repair request from the other agent, and I'll be like, hey, here's what they're asking for. I had one seller one time say, tell them to go F themselves. I'm like, oh, well, you want me to email that to him? You want me to call him? Like, come on. Like, that's the part of it where I struggle.
Yeah.
And you have to talk them off the ledge and just kind of give them.
Yes.
And yeah, when the emotions run high, I get, that stresses me out. I don't like that part of it.
Yeah, and that's also kind of maybe where I'm liking the short sale portion and the REO kind of portion. It's as is, that the seller cannot afford to fix anything. They can't afford the mortgage payment.
Right.
So it's as is, and I'm very upfront in the offer instructions.
Before a contract's even signed.
Before it's even signed, like, and once we go live in the MLS, like, I have it in agent remarks, like, as is, no repairs, like, bring an offer. And then in our offer instructions, it's very detailed as far as like, don't come at us with like 10,000 in closing costs and assistance. Don't come at us with a ton of repairs. It can't happen. Mm-hmm. The bank's not going to approve it. Mm-hmm. The bank has a certain net number. And also I'm very specific on, here's how long it's going to take. Set the expectations with your buyers right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And then the sellers are kind of like, what do I do? And I'm like, we just wait for the bank now. Like, we just everything that's on their needs list, please get us to us in a timely manner, because we do have the bank timelines that we do have to follow.
And if you miss it, you burned another 7 to 10 days because the bank looks at it like once a week.
Yes. And like they're dealing with so many files. And the other thing too, and how I explain this to homeowners and agents, is the banks don't really want these properties back. They would much prefer us reach out to them and work something out versus them take on a whole bunch of inventory. And we don't want them to have all that inventory because it is going to affect our overall market.
You know, I wonder about, like, my financial advisor was telling me, because I have a 3.25 mortgage, he goes, never sell that house. And I go, never? He goes, never. Even if you move out of it and buy another house, keep it.
Yeah.
And I go, explain. And he goes, it's just the velocity of money. Like, that's your, how did he say it? He was like, you have a 3% mortgage, 3.25. Inflation has gone so crazy since you bought that house. You're actually paying the bank back with negative money.
Yes.
So they're losing money on you every month. And I'm like, wow, like I've never thought of it that way. So he's like, yeah, they're hoping to God you sell that house.
They do. They that too is like, they would prefer it to where we work something out and then take a loss or a short, because they have mortgage insurance typically and stuff that helps cover all of that.
Well, I don't have that because I'm over the 20% mark.
But I mean, like for the FHA and all that kind of stuff and those types of mortgages and stuff. So, I mean, the bank would prefer to work something out and get to where then someone else comes in and then it's at a higher interest rate.
So I wonder, is there eventually something that comes to a head where all these cheap mortgages that the banks are just losing on, does that cause issues later, I wonder?
So I like to reference the movie The Big Short, because what I've noticed is I'm getting phone calls from clients and they're like, hey, my mortgage just got sold. And there's a lot of mortgage selling going on in the back end. And if anyone took like sort of like forbearances, loan mods, or anything like that, those are getting sold to certain servicers. And those are the ones that I'm dealing with the most, that have the most like distressed or short sale options and all that kind of stuff.
But why would a bank buy something that's only yielding 3%?
Well, they're packaging up what they consider bad debt.
So bad debt doesn't necessarily mean like the borrower's bad. It could be just it's not
making them money, just like you said. It's negative to the bank. They're not getting enough on a return.
That just got my wheels turning, dude. I wonder if that creates an issue later.
It does.
Whoa. Yeah, what if one day they're like, hey, we don't even want you to keep well, I guess they would want, that would be a bigger loss. Yeah.
Well, I'm and I hate to say this, but the banks are pushing, if you are basically any sense of distress, they are now being like, we want it back.
Yeah. Like they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's going on. And I'm seeing that from like firsthand, working all the files I'm working with the banks. Like I'm even seeing kind of like where they were being a little lenient on certain things. Now they're like, nope, if it doesn't meet this, we'll just take it back. Do they really want it back? No. But, and I've noticed they're kind of being picky and choosy on certain ones.
But they'd rather have their cash and get rid of a bad note.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
I need to sit down and watch The Big Short. I've watched a million documentaries on the actual thing, but I've seen the clip where he's like talking to some chick. It might be like a stripper or something. And she's like,
she's like, oh yeah, I got this and I got this.
And then he's on the phone and he's like, there's a bubble.
Yes. No, I hate to say it, but I mean, it's very similar.
I've had some friends that are, loan officers and stuff that started in the early 2000s, and they tell me like stories about how it was back then, like no income, mirror loan. If you could fog a mirror, they give you the loan.
Yes. People are putting it in like dogs' names.
Yeah.
Like their dogs were getting loans.
I was listening to a podcast. It was fascinating. There was a scammer in Florida who he actually has a podcast now. He went to prison for a long time and got out, and now he does a podcast. God, I'm blanking on his name. Smooth talking, smart guy. But early 2000s, he started as a loan officer, and he tells the story about how his manager, he was like the first fraud I ever committed in my life. I had a clean record. I've never drank. I've never smoked. Like I had a clean record. The first fraud I ever did, he was working at a mortgage office, and somebody's debt to income ratio was like a couple percent too high. Like they barely didn't qualify. And his manager was like, hey, just white it out, fix it, make a copy of that, and then nobody will ever know. And then he got her approved for the loan and made like $3,000. He was like, oh. So then he started doing that on like, he was getting everybody approved. Then he like was like one of the top loan officers in the area. Then he like started a team and they were just doing all this fraud. And then he was like, I think somebody showed up at their office and was like, hey, we need y'all's files and this and that. And then like his manager went down. They didn't like crack down on him. Like I think they pulled his license for like a year. And then he was like right back at it. Then he was doing all these like crazy straw man schemes where he was buying under fake buyers.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
So he had colors. So he would buy under Michael Green, James Red, Lee Black, like, and that was like his thing. And he artificially inflated a whole neighborhood because he bought so many houses under fake names. And this was before the internet was like what it is today. So he could just do this stuff.
Yeah.
And it just got out of control. And eventually he got caught and he had defrauded banks for like, dude, it was like, I want to say it was hundreds of millions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it was the Wild West back in those days. I wish I could,
I'm gonna have to research it.
Man, I can't remember this dude's name. I'm gonna have to look it up. Yeah. But
now, I mean, back to kind of what I feel is going on is it's gonna take some time to shift kind of back towards what that was, and I don't think we're officially gonna hit that yet. The wave of foreclosures are coming. The government has held it off for as long as they can, and now that there are, because I'm going to the auctions, I'm physically watching investors and people not bidding on these properties because it does not make sense. There's still not enough equity. They're going right back to the bank. Then they're going to have an REO agent go and list the property, and it's going to be around-ish of what the market is, discounted some.
Minus 8.5% for commissions and everything. So you think there's a wave coming?
Oh, yeah.
You guys hear that? That has been, people have been saying that, and I kind of have thought, I thought like, okay, we'll see some, but I didn't think it would be like a crazy amount.
I feel as though how it's being managed behind the scenes and just how they're slowly letting out some, it's not going to be as crazy, but yet it's coming. And the inventory of short sales that I have, I mean, and people are just, there are not enough people talking about what actually is going on because we're all trying to be very positive with all of this. And it's not that it's negative, it's reality.
I just say, like on my Instagram, I just say what I see.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God, why can't everybody just say it like this? Yeah. You're so like, and I'm like, I'm just literally looking at what I see and just telling y'all what I see.
And that's all I'm doing.
Why is it a thing where realtors want to make it? And that is a thing, like, oh, it's a seller's market. It's a great time to sell. It's a great time to buy because you're putting your money in a good asset. Then the prices come down, transactions are slow. Oh, it's a great time to buy. Like there's never a bad time to do anything in some agents' advice.
Yeah.
I'm not in that camp.
I'm not either. I'm very like, this is what the market is. You can buy and it could be good or it could be meh, but you really just need to buy.
Yeah.
It could be okay. It could be great to sell. It could be meh to sell and you just really need to sell. I mean, we are in just a very stable, realistic market.
And if it totally depends on your situation too. Like,
yes,
if you are a young family who like saved all this money for a down payment, like you need to be careful about where you're buying, what you're buying, how much you're spending. You need to kind of know, like I tell my people right now, like do not do this unless you're planning on staying here 5 years.
That's it. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a baby boomer with a net worth of 10 million, it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah. There's so many different scenarios of what all can happen and all that, and what I'm kind of explaining to clients. And I mean, but as far as like the foreclosures, they're coming. I mean, it is. And we're not even really seeing them as much in the MLS, but I mean, yet, but they're coming because the banks are having to basically they're having to structure it all, and they're waiting on basically what they're being told to list them at, and because the banks have to go to like the servicers, who typically is who we pay our mortgage to, is then has to go to their investors, or then they're having to get permission from Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and all that kind of stuff in order to sell it based on whatever they're wanting to accept.
Yeah. I tend to look at whatever field I'm looking to improve in. I just kind of will look at who's the best at this and what are they doing. So like when I see Berkshire Hathaway sitting on so much cash, you're kind of just like, ugh, why are they doing that? It makes you wonder. Mm-hmm. So, and then like online nowadays, there's so many different angles and takes, and everybody's saying something different. So like you don't know, like you could have one guy saying like there's going to be no foreclosures.
Oh yeah.
Or very little, and the market's going to keep going up, and it's going to get better. And then you could have another guy like total opposite, like doomsday, and like they'll both have angles on it where you're like, oh, I see what he's saying. Yep. Oh, I see what he's saying. Yep. It makes it confusing.
It does, and that's where it's just like it's very micro market based. And so, I mean, there's the general scheme, and like again, whenever we're looking at news, it's normally national news. Well, we can't compare like this neighborhood to national news. Like that's not the same numbers. And so, and I mean, also it's like what you're seeing in Harris County, we have a huge population and everything like that compared to like smaller counties like Fort Bend and all that. Just the population's less, and even like Brazoria, you're not going to have as many foreclosures on the list. Like that's just how it is.
Fewer people, fewer foreclosures. Wow.
I know. Who would have thought? I know. And then also, what I've also noticed is that the banks, if the property is vacant, they're more proactive. The bank's more proactive of wanting to basically take it back and get it figured out. If you're in the property and maintaining it, the bank's kind of like, okay, maybe we'll eventually work something out. That's why it's so important to get a hold of the bank and actually have a conversation with them and be like, look, I understand I'm probably behind. I am behind. I don't know exactly when I'm able to catch up, but I don't want to see this going to foreclosure. They don't want it all back. But I mean, so and there are a lot of people that are abandoning their properties too, because they're like, I couldn't afford it. I needed to go get somewhere else that I could afford, and they're going to take it tomorrow. And that's another misconception, is people think that the constable shows up same day and you're out. That's not the case. Like you actually have rights, and it's a process. And so, and also with the short sales and not being short, like you're not paying your note, and that's another 3, 6, 9 months that you're in your house to be able to kind of get your life together and everything. So it's another option versus having to get out right off the bat, go find a rental, something like that, because your credit's probably not going to be the best in order to be able to purchase because of the situation you're in. And so
it does blow my mind how long these people can stay in the house.
I have some from 22 and 23 that haven't made payments.
Since then?
Mm-hmm, since then, that are still in their house.
So why? How?
Talking to the banks, just forbearances, loan modifications, workouts, repayment plans. The bank offers so many opportunities for someone to make it right.
But you think those days are numbered?
They are, if you choose to not work with them.
It's all about communication.
That's it. I mean, because and I get it. People are embarrassed. They're like, how do I catch up? How do I do this? I can't make the payment. I can't afford this. And so they just out of sight, out of mind. They stop opening the mail. They stop answering the phone calls. They don't log into the portal. And the banks are offering assistance in pretty much every way they can possibly try to communicate with you.
Crazy, dude. Mm-hmm. Well, is there anything else you want to add or wanted to talk about?
Really just, about short sales, a lot of people are anti-short sales, yet I feel like that is kind of another, I'm seeing more and more of it come about in the market, and agents are kind of like, oh, you don't want to do that.
Well, in my career, it's almost what I've specifically seen. I haven't seen a ton of foreclosures. Every bank related thing I've done has been short sale.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a good thing because like I did one last year where the sellers they built the house, in the early 90s in Clear Lake, and they were elderly and they just didn't have the means to pay. I don't know if they had refied it at some point or something, but it was like, man, you don't want to see them like get foreclosed on.
That's it.
And maybe they should have, but it was a situation where they just had pride and they didn't want to do that. So they ended up short selling. I forgot what it was. It was because me and the agent were like talking about like for some reason it may have been better for them to just foreclose, but they just out of pride didn't. And yeah, it was just like, okay, they get to move out and they get to go do whatever else they're going to do. And the buyer kind of, I guess, would the foreclosure process be a longer process than the short sale process, or would it be kind of the same thing?
So the foreclosure process would be after the bank actually takes over the property or someone else purchases it at auction.
Right.
And so pre-foreclosure is where the short sale falls into play. And so that's what takes so long, is because the bank is having to agree to short it versus they're taking it on. Because also here's the other fun thing that makes a lot of short sales become short sales is solar panels and additional liens that have been put on the property.
I was telling someone yesterday, do not put solar panels on your house.
Yeah.
Except for in two cases. One, you pay cash.
Mm-hmm. Or your house is paid off.
Yeah. Two, you're never leaving that house. I can't tell you how many deals where like they have solar panels and the buyer has to take over the payment, and the buyer's like, well, I don't want to take over that payment. It's more than the electric bill would have been.
Yes.
Yeah, don't do that.
Well, and there are ways where whenever I'm working out these short sales with the banks, they don't want to be responsible for those amounts because they're like, we didn't acquire that debt. That's not our debt. And so I'm having to go and negotiate with the solar panels basically finance company in order to be like, would you rather 60 cents? Because you're about to get zero. And so that, I mean, there are ways to work them out and negotiate down the payoffs for the solar panels.
Yeah.
And then just other additional liens, people that may finance HVAC or roofs or generators. Like those are additional liens that sometimes people don't think about water softener systems,
until
all of
closing.
that. Mm-hmm. They don't think about that until they're like, oh, that popped up on my title commitment.
Yeah, because like what I do is if a home has solar panels and my clients like it, I'll be like, hey, we want these paid off at closing.
Yep.
We're not taking over anything.
Yes.
And then at that point, the sellers can next time they go to get a new roof, the buyers, the next time they go to get a new roof, they can make that call then. But another thing people don't think about with solar panels is they wear out. They have a limited lifespan. So you're going to have to replace them at some point.
And then whenever you go to replace them, you're having to replace, if you ever don't want them, you're having to get all brand new decking and everything like that. It's not just like, oh, you can pop them off. Like you're having to replace your roof.
Because it's bolted into the roof,
as
the deck.
well.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's like, that's something that does put a lot of people in a over leveraged situation. And so that's where it's all about negotiations. It's all about communication, just with all parties, and just working it out with the bank. And yes, it's a pain, but at the same time, it's like, if that's what your client wants, then, and they have the opportunity to possibly get into a neighborhood at a price point that is more affordable, that allows financing. Because a lot of these foreclosures and distressed properties, like severely distressed as is properties, you can't get financing on.
Right. Like at the auction, they want cash and they want you take on the title too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people that are in it. Yeah.
My brother was telling me he sees people there. There'll be like a bunch of people there, but like no one's bidding.
It's here and there. So the last one, what was it, last week? I was there, and it just depends on how much equity there is in the property. And I got a call from a couple people that purchased at the auction, and they were like, hey, I picked this up. Like, can you help me sell it? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so, there's opportunities there. But again, those are then going to the bank, which then turns into the REOs, which then turns into inventory that does affect our overall market.
I'll be looking out for this wave of foreclosures. That's interesting.
It may be like small waves. But
yeah, because like I've always messed around with the idea of like buying a rental, but it's like, man, you pay $350 for this house that you're getting like $2,000 a month. Like the pencil doesn't pencil.
Well, that's also where subject to comes into play for the opportunity on some of these properties. Even if they're a short sale and like there may not be a whole bunch of equity, but like, let's say they have a 2 or 3% interest rate. It may make sense for someone to come in and take over that note, reinstate it, and they're in for a lot less than than having to pay for the whole thing.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, it sounds like there's a tornado outside right now.
I know. It does.
So cool. Well, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for messaging me. It's always interesting since I started this podcast. I've met so many different people from so many different walks of life. So it's always fun to have a conversation and do this. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And we will talk to y'all next time.